Hi everybody, and welcome back to another recap. This is the Transformers recap, but this is not just 1 month's worth of Transformer books. By the way, you guys say hello to Brant.
Hey guys. Yeah, sorry.
No, he is my co-host while we do the. Let me go on to you. Let me
Yeah,
purpose. There you go. This Transformer shirt that I want.
I came dressed prepared.
I
I even
did.
have Transformers in my background. I don't know if you can really see them.
If I can have that, hand me that. I have a Starscream. I have Starscream. I was checking his.
I have
We
two
got.
Star Screens back here. So
I
we're
don't like.
Star Screen heavy.
I have a Starscream comic that my Starscream came with.
There you go. I've got the Machine Wars one back here in plain form, and I've got this little pop vinyl thing. I don't know if you can see it behind the
I
car.
cannot.
Pop vinyl's quite hard to see.
I cannot see it. I could see the plane.
Yeah, plane's over here. This is a Speedbreaker, the car, and then behind him is another Star Screen with a little pop vinyl thing, which I can't reach, right?
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Well, I only have Starscream and I can't have him in my background because I'd have to stick him on a wall. So,
Gotcha.
so we're
But I came
here.
prepared. We're here.
Yes.
Sorry. Go ahead.
You're prepared. Lucky you. I'm never prepared. Brant's always prepared. We'll talk Transformers tomorrow for Hall of Toys too.
Okay.
How much I hate
Yeah,
certain.
definitely.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about how much I hate certain figures. So there's a little promo for you guys. Check out Hall of Toys. I don't know what episode we're up to, but we're going to start doing these on a monthly basis again. So whatever episode it is, the newest one, it'll be on zone4podcast.com. It's a Tuesday show, so you'll see it on Tuesday if you're seeing this before Tuesday. Anyway, we are going to be covering 2 months worth of books, May and June's Transformers. We have Robots in Disguise, we have More Than Meets the Eyes, and we have Windblade. And then in June there was a director's cut spotlight book. So lots to talk about. And then today, ironically, Brant actually went to go see Transformers 4.
I did.
You came
So we'll
super
talk about
prepared.
that. Yeah, super duper prepared. I was like, Transformers. Today is about Transformers. That's what I'm doing.
And all I have are I only have the figures. That's all I have.
You got a lot of figures.
I got a lot. Christmas in July, guys. Go check that out on comicfrontline.com. And this week also is going to be huge. San Diego Comic-Con's happening. Guys, that's why I'm getting all these recaps done, and I'm going to be doing the indie review tonight. After filming this live, Mike and I tonight are going to be doing the indie review, so that'll be up on Sunday. And the Big 2 review, fingers crossed, pray to God, will be up on Monday, because starting Wednesday, the news is going to be coming through, and it's going to be all about San Diego Comic-Con all weekend long. So, lots to look forward to. But that's San Diego. So, let's start with May, Brant. And this is going to be more of a discussion, guys, because these books are so old that in the indie review, I'm going to be shooting with Mike tonight. I'm already on the third book for Robots in Disguise. So I have 3 of them in my head right now. Let's pray I don't screw it up. That's why I have Brant here. And I need to discuss these books. And I know Brant likes Transformers. By the way, Brant, are you looking forward to the G.I. Joe Transformer crossover that's going to be going on?
I am. It's actually already started, hasn't it? Or maybe that was just a free comic book day thing.
The first one comes out next week.
Okay.
Next Wednesday.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I heard good things about the free comic book day book, which I have not read yet. But yeah, it's 2 of my favorite properties. So.
There you go. So lots to look forward to in the Transformer line. So let's start with More Than Meets the Eyes, issue number 29. And I don't know how you feel about this book, Brant, but I feel like there's an overload of dialogue.
Yeah, I agree. This is definitely the most text-heavy of the Transformers books, and one of the most text-heavy books that I read, period.
Yeah.
Even the recap at the beginning of the issues is very, very wordy.
Yeah, it's Swerve, I think, who gives you a recap of everything that's gone on so far. And in 29, I believe, Megatron's on trial. He pleads not guilty, and then there's a series of events that happen, and then he pleads guilty, and then it's switched around, and then he pleaded not guilty, and in the present, he's the captain of the lost state, and somebody's fighting him for, they don't like that he's in command or something like that, and they find this. In the last issue, they found a coffin, and then they open it up, and it turns out it's Rodimus in the coffin.
Yeah, that was 29 actually. That happened.
Yeah, 29 is when they opened the coffin. It ended with Rodimus in the coffin.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and Rodimus is actually his co-captain, and that he's the one that doesn't like Megatron on the ship.
Right.
And,
that
I mean,
happened in the next issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happened in 30. That happened in issue 30. We thought that Rodimus was dead already. They didn't reveal Rodimus was actually on the ship until issue 30.
Oh, maybe so. I thought he was in 28. I thought he was in 28. My bad. I couldn't. It's been a while since we talked about 28. So.
Yeah. Was he in 28? I thought he was more in the recap of 28.
He may have been.
So
I really don't remember.
So what did you think about the book, Brant?
Aside from the wordiness, I kind of like what's going on. It's really hard. I mean, you really have to pay attention to keep up because they do flashback between 6 months ago and present a lot. And I think they, in the most recent issue, which we'll talk about in a little bit, it started mixing in even a third time frame or something.
Yeah.
Or I could be thinking.
No, you're right. They moved a little bit further along where they were on the ship, getting on the ship, getting up to go, and yeah. The problem is the time jumping, but I don't know. I'm not a fan of Megatron, and you could tell I could see where this book is going, and More Than Meets the Eyes did this in the previous story before the whole Dark Cybertron, where they get this. You get this little glimpse into the future, and then it leads into it somehow. And in this case, it's Rodimus, who is dead from the future. You find this out in the next issue. So I like it. Don't get me wrong. I'm still looking forward to when they meet the Knights of Cybertron, if they do. However, now that Optimus is back, Robots in Disguise kind of took the upper hand for me.
Okay. I think he's one of the classic ones, like for me, Magneto, Joker, those kind of villains, Cobra Commander, and Megatron. They're all on the same. They're all on the same level for me. So,
your microphone's
twist.
Brant, your mic's going in and out a little bit.
Oh, sorry. I think it's an interesting twist that that he's an Autobot now, and that he's on the Lost Light, and we don't find out how that came about until 30, which we will talk about later. But on this issue, we're still trying to figure it out and fill it out and everything. And I don't know. Like I said, aside from the wordiness, I kind of like where it's going. It's just I'm not. It's like they're kind of maybe doing a little bit too much with it. They've got a lot of subplots going on. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Very heavy. It was very heavy. And so out of 5 stars, I would say this is an average 3.5 for me. What about for you?
I would completely agree. Yeah.
Okay, so we got More Than Meets the Eyes, 29, 3.5 out of 5 stars. Would you like to do Robots in Disguise, or do you want to wait for Windblade?
Yeah, I'll wait for Windblade. You go ahead and do that one.
Okay. Robots in Disguise. Now I have to remember myself where we were at in this book. Because I can't remember. Autobots show up on Earth, I believe, in this issue. No, they're on Earth already. And we get a background story on the Commander. And most of this issue is Galvatron and the Decepticons versus Optimus Prime and the Autobots. However, this time the roles are reversed with the humans. The humans are on the Decepticon side because the Decepticons made the humans believe that they're the good guys. And, Megatron's with the Autobots now, and they want, Soundwave actually is sincere. He wants peace. He's not really, all he wants is to get what they have on Earth and leave. Galvatron is the more aggressive Decepticon, and he's obviously the leader. So fight breaks out, but the Autobots want to keep everything on the down low. They don't want the humans to know they're there, and the Decepticons promised the army, the world army, also that they were going to stay hidden. So throughout the whole issue, you have them in vehicle mode until you get to the end of the issue. And Prowl, I don't know what's going on with Prowl. And maybe something's going to happen at some point, but him and the Constructobots come together, and the end of the issue, Devastator shows up, and their cover is literally blown in less than a second. And the ironic thing is, this general, this woman who hates the Transformers, hates them, and her situation happened with Devastator.
Yeah.
So I like Devastator. It was cool to see Devastator, but what the hell's going on with Prowl?
I don't know, man. He seems like he's challenging Optimus a lot, and you know, it almost seems like he's kind of doing his own thing here, and you don't know what his motive truly is behind all this. So that's really an interesting subplot to figure out where he's going, and what kind of trouble he's going to play because of something we also see in 30, which we'll talk about later, with the Constructicons. But Devastator showing up, I mean, we got I think it opened up with a tease, and then it went backwards and showed us that recap like you were talking about, and then at the end we see the full-on Devastator as he reveals and everything. Yeah, it's cool. It's kind of nostalgic for me, and I'm sure for you too, because in Robots in Disguise, it's classic Optimus and his Autobots back on Earth with the roles reversed. So it's unique but familiar. So I
think that the humans eventually are going to realize that Galvatron will somehow screw it up, and the Autobots. Well, I don't want to give away the next issue, but I think that in the end the roles are going to reverse again, and the humans are going to realize the Autobots are the good guys. But they don't want either faction on Earth anyway. They want them both off the planet, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, they're siding with the Decepticons for some reason. We probably covered this in 28 when we did the recap for that too, because they kind of touched on that. But yeah, it's because the Autobots, I guess, they feel are responsible for bringing everything to the planet in the first place. So. Right,
and there are flashbacks also in this issue, with people joining up with Optimus and his crew. But they do that in the Megatron book also. I feel like these two books are right now a lot of flashbacks because they're, instead of doing what they should have done, and it should have been a setup book, a specific setup book, instead of all these flashbacks, they should have just done one issue each of the setup, who wants to go with what crew and why, and just left, instead of, okay, here's already the second issue with flashbacks, going to be a third issue with flashbacks when we get into issue 30, and then finally we see less and less flashbacks as we get into the 31s and 32s probably.
Yeah, because between Dark Cybertron and Dawn of the Autobots, which is what's going on right now, there was a 6-month jump. So that's why, I'm just explaining to the viewers what you're talking about. Because Dark Cybertron's when the war ended and all this mess started with Megatron and splitting the teams and everything. So, yeah, I agree. Kind of an in-between book would have worked well to propel us into that 6 months ahead. But at the same time, it's kind of interesting seeing it unfold little by little, too. It's just a lot to take in with it happening in 2 different books.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm loving it. Yeah, I'm loving it, though. It's very, like you said, nostalgic. I would definitely say this book is the top book for me this week. I would say definitely 4 out of 5 stars. Devastator pushed it, really, with the 4 out of 5, and also just the story itself has me more grip because I feel like Robots in Disguise, it started with Bumblebee on Cybertron. We now left Bumblebee's dead now, and we're not on Cybertron anymore. Now we're with Optimus again and his crew on a different mission. It's a completely different book now, whereas More Than Meets the Eyes, it's the same thing with a new team.
Yeah, exactly. Well, somewhat of a new team, because some of the ones, they're still there from the previous. But yeah, it's the same thing. They're still on the Lost Light searching for the Knights of Cybertron, so it's basically the same story.
Yeah, it was just interrupted.
Told in different ways. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, no, I agree. I think Robots in Disguise is fresh and familiar and the superior book of the two main titles. Yeah. Even of Windblade. Windblade's a miniseries, so I didn't want to really include it. But yeah, it's really the top book right now. So
Honestly,
I
I
agree with
wouldn't.
the four.
Yeah, I wouldn't count Windblade because that's like talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and then you got to talk about Turtles in Time, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Adventures. There's so many miniseries. I mean, right now, like we were talking about, we have Transformers G.I. Joe going on. Really, the main series what counts. The miniseries are just extras to the actual ongoing series. I think Windblade was made on purpose to show us what's going on now on Cybertron before we completely leave Cybertron, because after Windblade, we're done with the Cybertron stories for now.
Yeah, unless somewhere down the line they bring a third book in. We'll see.
No.
Not so far. Not as far as October, anyway, as we know. So
I hope not, that's for sure. But speaking of Windblade, do you want to do Windblade issue number 2?
yeah. So the plot for this issue kind of boils down really simply. We know in issue 1 there was this big explosion that almost killed Windblade, and this whole issue is about her trying to uncover clues as to who's behind it. And she basically kind of figures it's Starscream, but she has to go. She goes to Swerve's bar and starts questioning people and this and that, and she finally comes upon Waspinator, who starts to run. So she follows him and gets the scoop from him, basically. And trying to remember how it ended.
Ended with
I
her
think she was
under
inside
the sewers.
Yeah, they were down in the sewers. Her and Chromia, the other female, and they got ambushed by a bunch of Starscream's lackeys, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Who we assume it's Starscream's lackeys at this point.
Right, because we find out more in issue 3.
Right, but I mean that's pretty much the whole issue. It kind of gave it that mystery vibe through kind of her questioning people and everything. So that part was interesting, but at the same time, it was just kind of a filler to get from 1 to 3, I think.
Yeah, that's why I don't know. I glimpsed over the issue, and that's about it. Brad, could you talk about the book 2 seconds? I'm going to take care of something.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a neat miniseries, and I do like seeing what's going on Cybertron with it. And you know, I'm a fan of Starscream, so I love seeing what's up with him, and we learn more what's going on in issue 3. But the art is different than the other 2 books. It's kind of this a very creative, very I don't know. We talked about it in the last recap, I'm sure. It's kind of anime influenced or mecha kind of that thing, but the panel layouts and everything is really cool. So that's what I most enjoy about the book is the art layouts and everything. But the story, it's a neat little story if you want something extra and want to know what's going on with Starscream and all those. For me, this issue was probably like a 3.
I have to agree, definitely a 3. I'm back, by the way. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem.
So, since I took the other books, you want to try? We're going now into the month of June. So, would you like to take More Than Meets the Eyes? Since I literally almost did the entire month of May, and then I'll conclude with Windblade if anything.
All right, more.
Brant, you're going in and out again.
Sorry. Okay, this issue starts again in 6 months ago as we're learning more about the trial. Is that better? Am I constant now?
Yeah. I don't know if it's the internet itself, but you're fine right now. I don't know. Maybe it's your mic going in and out. It's not your voice. It's more it sounds like you're unplugging then replugging.
What it is we have digital copies of the Transformers books. I'm flipping through the pages, and I think that's interfering with the mic. So I'm not touching the pages right now. So if I pause in speaking, it's because I'm changing a page. But yeah, so this starts off 6 months ago. We're learning more about the trial and everything, and that's where that whole thing we learn more about him changing the guilty to non-guilty, and the reasons behind that, why he changed it. And it turns out that throughout this whole thing, he's kind of manufactured a way to get himself a loophole. And that's how he ends up on the Lost Light, which is what we find out in this issue, that there's a loophole on Luna 2, which is where the trial took place. that if the person on trial feels it necessary, he can have the Knights of Cybertron pass the judgment instead of whoever's presiding over it. So that gets him landed on the lost site to go find the Knights of Cybertron so he can get the verdict from them, so it buys him a little time. He tries to sound sincere, but Optimus is still very skeptical, understandably so.
I think everybody who's reading the book is very skeptical of Megatron.
Oh, of course, yeah. How could you not be? It's Megatron.
Exactly.
But in the present, we're dealing with Hot Rod or Rodimus finding his corpse, because this is, like you said, I accidentally spoiled it. We find out Rodimus is still on the ship. He is the co-captain with Megatron, and now there is another corpse of Rodimus, and he doesn't know what's going on. So he's like all whiny about it, and Megatron's telling him to man up, and he has to call in his team to figure out, and they kind of determine that this is Rodimus from the future. And Rodimus is trying to figure out certain ways to radically, alter himself so this doesn't happen, and they kind of shift that. But the other subplot going on is that parts of the ship are disappearing, disintegrating, and so,
I was gonna say, did you find it weird how Rodimus was dealing with it? He's like, if I cut my arm off, then that already I'm changing. I'm like, are you stupid? You're gonna cut? And then I love Megatron, who came back and said, you can cut your arm off, but what makes you think we won't just weld it back onto you after you're dead?
Exactly, yeah. It's like, oh, thankfully the ship disintegrating problem presented itself even more aggressively, so he kind of skirted away from all those crazy decisions. Rodimus is an idiot. I swear, I loved the character back in the cartoons, but in this series, he is an idiot.
Not during the first story. Ever since Megatron, he's been sulking, and even Megatron said that Rodimus is sulking.
Yeah, but even in the first part, he was making bad decisions. He alienated half of his team. Half the crew.
Yeah, that's true. And the crew wanted to leave, and he put those marks on his hand for all the people that voted against him. And then I know, it's horrible, isn't it? And then he, in this issue, we find out he erased it.
Yeah, he took the marks off, and he was about to say why, and he got cut off. But yeah, the whole ship is disintegrating. By the end of the issue, they had to abandon the ship, and the ship completely disappeared. So we don't know what's going on, if it's some kind of time temporal vortex kind of thing, or if it's some kind of, I don't know, some kind of microscopic thing eating the ship, or we don't know. We have no clue. So just more questions.
It's fair to say that I really don't care at this point, and going into the next issue, which I'm going to review in the indie review with Mike later, it continues, and it's like, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. The next issue, which it comes out this week, I think. It's called Murder in the Dark. So that kind of piques my curiosity a little bit to see what's going on there.
Yeah. Oh, it was. Yeah.
Is it out already? No.
Wait, More Than Meets the Eyes. Yes.
Okay. So I haven't read it yet, but it does pique my curiosity a little bit. I don't know. The series, it just has a lot going on.
Yeah,
it's hard to follow.
I don't know. The series kind of felt a little. It feels empty now for me for some reason. I feel like they did the whole searching for the Knights. It didn't work. Move on to a new story. Robots in Disguise was the weaker of the two main series. They got rid of Bumblebee. They brought Optimus back. They're in a fresh direction now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I agree.
Yeah, they need a new fresh story for More Than Meets the Eyes. I think they should find the Knights in the next 4 or 5 issues, go back to Cybertron, or have the Knights go back to Cybertron and start a new story. Even be on Cybertron, because right now Robots in Disguise is off Cybertron. So maybe More Than Meets the Eyes should come back and be on Cybertron.
Yeah, but the way Megatron was talking in this issue, it was like he thinks he knows where to find them, which is someplace called Cyber Utopia. Yeah. And it kind of makes me think they're wanting to relocate everybody from Cybertron to this place. And
yeah, that's what Megatron was telling Yeah, that's what Megatron was telling Optimus because he's claiming that Cybertron is dead. But I thought it was alive. It was alive again.
Metroplex everybody moved into Metroplex, so I think he's the only part of it that's really functioning. And of course, as we see in Windblade, he's not really doing so well. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, but 3 out of 5 again. I feel it's just not something that's astounding me. Not something that's really like, oh wow, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was interesting the way he got out of. He had the loophole to get out of the thing, but yeah, I think it was a half step down from the last issue, so I'd agree with the 3.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But I think that Robots in Disguise actually was a lot better.
I agree. You want me to talk about that one too?
Yeah, because I took those two.
Yeah, that's fine.
And it's Devastator.
Okay, yeah. So this issue actually started 10 million years ago, and we learned the beginnings of Galvatron's reign and how he it's kind of hinted towards a little bit that he kind of left his master, he kind of betrayed him maybe, and just went on his own, and he kept denying that, but he's saying he has no master and all this, but he kind of became that killing machine during the first civil war of Cybertron, and so he's kind of Megatron's ancestor in that way. I don't know if they're actually related, but that's kind of the impression I got. Is that the same you took?
It's weird because my memory of Galvatron is he was Megatron because of the movie. Remember when Megatron died or was going to die? He met Unicron, and Unicron transformed him into Galvatron. So seeing Galvatron, I like that Galvatron is a separate being, so you can still have that Megatron-esque person, even if they keep Megatron good. Like, let's say in a twist of fate, Megatron stays at Autobot forever. There's still Galvatron who can hold the Megatron-esque mantle for the Decepticons.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I like seeing them both because that is the impression you got from the cartoon, that Megatron was turned into Galvatron, but they got around that because of the way it was worded when he said, "I'm not Megatron, I'm Galvatron," that kind of thing. So I don't know. It's a loophole. If you watch the cartoon,
that's like the Hulk saying, "I'm not Bruce Banner, I'm the Hulk."
Exactly.
You know?
I agree. And spoiler alert and a little tease for later on in the show. In the movie, it's more like the cartoon movie. So anyway, well, not with Unicron, but anyway, we'll get to that later. But another interesting thing about this, though, is with Galvatron back to 10 million years ago still, he runs into somebody, a stranger, who he threatens to kill or whatever, but this stranger is like, he's telling him, "I come in peace, and I offer you peace and conquest," and all this stuff, and it turns out to be Alpha Trion. So that was interesting.
Yeah, it gives you the motivations for Galvatron and why he's on Earth trying to find Alpha Trion.
Exactly, and now we have both the Autobots and the Decepticons looking for Alpha Trion, doing it in their own ways, of course. Soundwave is still trying to keep the peace, and Galvatron's just wanting to destroy everything in his path, and even his own teammates, it seems. But we have Devastator, who is very prominent in this issue, and he's just like destroying everything, and doesn't even care about the humans seeing him and everything. And Optimus and the Autobots, they're like, "Prowl, what are you doing?" And he's taking on the Decepticons.
Yeah, they were like, "Stop," and then all of a sudden it went from, "We're not hiding anymore. Let's protect the humans at all costs." So that's why I'm saying at some point the humans are going to see the Autobots are on their side, and the Decepticons are kind of the deceitful ones, so to speak, or using the humans.
Yeah, they'd have to, or they're dumber than rocks. But yeah, the Autobots.
The woman doesn't seem swift.
That's true, but the Autobots, yeah, they were saying, we got to protect the humans, and Galvatron was like, "Let's just beat them all, and then we'll sit down with the humans and work it out." He was kind of saved it a little bit, but I was gonna say something, and I totally lost it. trying to
You're talking about Optimus and the Autobots and trying to stop Prowl.
Yeah, and when they finally do stop Prowl, there was something else I wanted to add, but I can't remember what it was. When they finally do, Prowl does disconnect from the Constructicons and Devastator and everything. He kind of explains that it was some kind of field experiment. He was trying to see how far the humans would go, and it was progress that they didn't wipe out the entire town that they were in, that they just kind of were erasing their hard drives or whatever to keep the secret of the Transformers being back on Earth. And that was kind of weird though. I don't know if you found that weird, but I found it weird.
I found it weird. I don't like. What?
No, go ahead.
I don't like Prowl's methods. I think there's something wrong with Prowl. I mean, you could see it because his nose was bleeding at some point also. I think this goes back to when he was being controlled by the Decepticons on Cybertron.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's something at play here. But speaking of that, Scavenger of the Constructicons, we learn, is a spy for the Decepticons. So it's just the Constructicons are all messed up.
I'm shocked because usually the Constructicons are like brothers, all of them. Either they're all in or they're all out. Not one against all, not one with a different, idea. They all work together and they're all on the same goal. Seeing Scavenger on his own, doing this on his own, still a Decepticon while the others aren't, that was shocking.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I don't know what to make of that yet. So I'm very curious to see what happens with that. Another interesting thing that happens in this issue is we get a flashback to 6 months ago where RC is standing aside while Windblade is having a conversation with Optimus, and everybody around RC's like, she's like you. Because she's another female Transformer. Don't you want to get to know her? And she's like, yeah, everybody keeps saying that, but I don't really care. And,
her personality
she's just
it's her personality also.
Yeah, she's got some kind of conflict, but she decides she wants to see Earth, so she wants to go to Earth and be on Optimus's team. And that's kind of where that whole little thing leaves off. But one thing I did find interesting, I don't know if you noticed, at the end of the issue, it said next full Fathom 5 or something like that. It says the same thing at the end of Windblade number 3.
I did notice that, so I'm wondering.
Yeah, so I think those two issues are going to cross over a little bit. Robots in Disguise and the last issue of Windblade.
That's going to be awesome. That's going to be interesting if it does actually do that. I don't know. I haven't read Robots in Disguise yet. All I've read was More Than Meets the Eyes, which is tonight. Yeah. I don't know. But this was a really good issue. I love the Devastator parts. I want to know why Prowl is so against Optimus. Optimus is telling him, stop, back down, hold your own. He's like, no, I have an idea. I have a test. I have to see this. And he's out of control as he's part of Devastator. I forgot who mentioned it. I think Cup said it, that he's a little bit dumber because he's connected with all the other 4 brains in Devastator. But it's just weird how Prowl's like that. And so Optimus has his own new little problem along with the Decepticons now. He has to worry about what Prowl's doing. And Prowl is very... what's the word I'm looking for? And even Optimus says he's always very careful. And in these situations, he's very careless.
Yeah, he said something to the effect of, I trust... or something about trust, and he said, but I know how far I can trust Prowl. So he knows that there's limits to the trust between the two. Right.
I don't know, but this is an awesome book. Definitely 4 out of 5 stars. This is my book of the month again from the Transformer line because it's just really good. It's classic. It has a nostalgic feel while still being new. And you got the Decepticons versus the Autobots here, and you got a really good new, fresh story in this series.
Yep, I completely agree.
All right, so moving on now to the 3rd issue of Windblade. Windblade, long story short, I felt like this issue was a really, really quick read, and I'll tell you why. Windblade gets the snot beaten out of her by Starscream at some point. There's a little bit of a conflict between Starscream's thugs and Windblade and her people. They all end up in jail. And Starscream is torturing Windblade because he thinks Windblade has an ulterior mission, and she doesn't. And she's actually blaming Starscream for all the power outages and everything that's going on. And then she sees something in his eyes because when she mentions, why are you doing this? And he has this shock in his eyes, like, what is she talking about? She realizes it's not Starscream that's screwing around with Metroplex. It's somebody else. And why? Yeah. She doesn't know. So she ends up breaking out of the prison. And, again, she's talking about, I don't know why somebody's doing it, but they need a lot of power for what, I don't know. And then it turns out at the very end of the issue, it ends with and this is why it could lead into Robots in Disguise, because it opens up a space bridge. And we all know they're not going to go back to the dead universe so fast. So where's the space bridge going to lead to? Possibly Earth.
Yep. And you could be totally right. That's how they tie in together. Yeah, this was, for me, the best issue of the miniseries so far.
Is it?
I really enjoyed. Huh?
Is it 4 or 5 issues, the miniseries?
4.
Okay.
Yeah, so next issue's the last one. Yeah, no, I mean, I enjoyed that. I loved the fact that they gave us that swerve, no pun intended, of it being Starscream not being the one behind all the damage to Metroplex. So now, we have no idea who's behind all this because Galvatron, Megatron, all the main Decepticons are gone. You have all the underlings that are left on Cybertron. So is this a Decepticon? Is it an Autobot? Is it somebody completely different? We don't know, and I like that.
Me too. Again, though, for a miniseries and everything, I would definitely say it still reaches an average. I would say this definitely gets a 3.5, but yeah. I wouldn't say Book of the Year or anything. I love the artwork.
No.
I really do love. You don't like the artwork?
No. I was saying no to Book of the Year. Yeah, I do love the artwork.
Okay. I think we have a little bit of a delay, and that's why you're answering things that I've previously said. But no, I think that the book has promise, and I think it's definitely going to set up for something in the future. Maybe Windblade will be joining Optimus. Maybe that's what the space bridge is for, and then she'll stay over there. And then after whatever happens on Earth, they'll go back to Cybertron. I hope not. I'd rather the Autobots stay on Earth. Have some human situations they have to deal with, but we all know that's not going to last very long. But like I said, average plus for me, so that's why I give it 3.5 out of 5.
Yeah, I completely agree with pretty much everything you said there. So 3.5 for me as well. But it's been a fun miniseries, I will say that.
Yes, definitely. And I hate Starscream, even though I'm holding him in my hand. No,
I love Starscream.
As a villain, I like him. He's a very good. You love to hate him. Let's put it that way.
Yep.
So let's put it. I hate him because I love to hate him. You just love him, period. But all in all, I know that eventually he's going to get kicked off of the council as the head of Cybertron at some point.
Yeah.
I just don't know when. We don't know when yet, but it'll happen, and I'll be laughing. I'll be laughing loud.
When the Knights of Cybertron come.
Yeah, and then Megatron will be the head, and I'm going to freak out even more. It could happen. I see Optimus with jaw dropping. If he has a jaw.
Megatron versus Galvatron.
That would be very interesting, actually. Who would win in a straight up between the two? That would be really interesting, because the last time they saw each other, Megatron was missing his legs.
That's true.
Well, we'll see in the future. And then, finally, there's a director's cut that came out this month for the Transformers Spotlight on Drift. Basically, it's the same comic that came out months ago. It's a short story about Drift, about 25 pages worth of a story. This is Cup and Drift's first meeting. Drift isn't an Autobot nor a Decepticon at this point. Originally, Drift was a Decepticon. And basically, he got a second chance. And now he's making good on all the bad things he's done in the past. And by the end of the issue, Cup brings him on, and he becomes an Autobot. without being an Autobot yet, he becomes one. And we all know Drift becomes an Autobot. I don't know if in the movie it's the same thing, and you'll tell us when we get to that, Brent. But Drift was a Decepticon. He left and then became an Autobot and basically wants to right all the wrongs he's done millions of years ago. He is an Autobot that likes to use samurai swords, which I find very awesome. He's like a ninja Decepticon, so to speak, a ninja Autobot, so to speak. And like I said, the rest of the book is dialogue, sketches, and layouts for the book. So if you didn't get the Drift Spotlight and you want to see a director's cut with extras and whatnot, definitely worth the money. If not, then if you have the Spotlight already, you're fine. But that's the Drift Spotlight in a nutshell. Awesome artwork, really good story. 4 out of 5 stars. Definitely. Unless you've read the original, then you don't need this book. So for you, it would kind of be a waste of money to get the same thing, unless you want the director's cut stuff.
Cool. Yeah, I got a chance to flip through it. I didn't get to read it, but I did. I always love it when they do director's cuts where they include the script. I just like seeing, the way the writers portray it in that form. As a writer myself.
Yeah. All right, Brent. So we're now done with the May and June books. We're now in July, and it's Transformers 4. You went to see the movie today. How was the movie?
Mm-hmm.
Give us a review of Transformers 4: Age of Extinction.
Okay, I'll try not to spoil too much because it's still fairly new. I mean, it's been out for a couple weeks, I guess. But
you could save some of the spoilers for the It's a Podcast for the Zone 4 segment. Okay. There you go.
Okay, I'll do that. For me, I enjoyed the movie. Now, I'll put a precursor that I did enjoy the previous 3 movies. 2 not as much as the other, as 1 and 3, but I did enjoy the previous movies for what they were. I kind of accepted that we weren't getting the familiar comic version, cartoon version of the Transformers. So anyway, I like those movies for what they were. This one was a little bit different. It's, as we all know from the trailers, probably it's a little bit forward ahead in time after the whole war. The Autobots and Decepticons haven't been seen for a long time. It's kind of like a black market thing. If you find Transformer bits, they're like going on sale on a black market, and the CIA and the Army are coming in to confiscate everything. The first part of the movie is a lot about the humans. It's Mark Wahlberg and his teenage daughter. He's an inventor, and he comes across Optimus Prime in a theater, and he brings him home, and he realizes it's a Transformer. Then all of a sudden the CIA are there trying to kill them and everything and trying to take the Transformer back. And it turns out he's trying to send a distress call because the CIA, they've been working with certain Transformers, and I won't say who because that spoils things a little bit, but it's not anybody you'd expect them to be working with, and there's no real explanation as to who these particular Transformers are throughout the entire movie. There was a lot of action in this movie because I don't want to give a whole to say any more. There's a big battle between the good guys and bad guys, and the good guys come out on top. Dinobots don't come. No, Grimlock does not talk. And one of the nitpicks I have about the film is the Dinobots don't come in until towards the very end. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like the last 30 minutes of the film. They come in. They are the legendary warriors that he calls on to help him because they're outnumbered, outmatched, outgunned, and they need help. So he gets a hold of them somehow, and I won't spoil that either. But he finds them and unleashes them and offers them freedom in exchange for helping him. So that's what happens there. Another thing I kind of nitpicked about was all the Transformers we saw in this movie, except for Optimus and Bumblebee, we had not seen in the movies before that I can recall.
No.
The rest of them are assumed dead, as we find out very early on in the movie, because the CIA has confiscated them and melted them down to get their technology.
Wow.
So they do show them attacking Ratchet, and they take him prisoner and kill him. So it's a lot of the Autobots are dead, and the Decepticons, but they kept certain ones brain alive, and that leads to the rebirth. Well, this other inventor that's working with the CIA, he develops the technology using all these parts. He finds out a way to create Transformers. They have no soul, he thinks, but he finds out a way to create them, and they can transform to anything they see, anything they want. It's not just one form. They can just instantly change into whatever. And the first one he builds, Galvatron. So which he built Galvatron using Megatron's brain. So that tells you where that goes.
Yep.
That's the main. That's the main.
I heard there's a that this movie leaves off where there's a promise for a sequel.
Oh yeah, because you see Galvatron a little bit, and you see him at the end saying it's not over. So yeah, there's definitely open door for a sequel, or movie 5, whatever you want to call it. But that's the main spoiler I'm going to give. There was a lot of action, like I said. Drift was in there, which I didn't know what his name was. I couldn't figure it out, but there was a samurai in there, so I assume that's who it is after you explained it. Yeah, it is Drift. Yeah. So he was neat.
The only reason I know this is because the figures. I know Drift's in it, Hound's in it, and God, why can't I remember the other one? The green race car. Oh God, it'll hit me later.
I can't think of his Crosshairs, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was cool too because the way his robot form was, it looked like he was wearing a trench coat. Which was kind of cool. So it was neat seeing them because they were visually really cool to look at, and the Decepticons that they used were really cool to look at as well. Galvatron took the form of a truck though because he was supposed to be the CIA's new version of Optimus, so that was a little weird.
Right. I was wondering why the toy looked like Optimus in car mode. Now it makes sense.
Yeah, they also made Stinger, which was another Decepticon, a red sports car. He was supposed to be the replacement for Bumblebee. So, yeah, they were trying to duplicate the Autobots. It didn't work out so well.
What I don't understand is why they said Megatron's brain and not like Ratchet's brain or any of the good guys' brain.
They couldn't find Optimus. I guess they wanted a leader or something. I don't know. They didn't really explain why. They just kept Megatron's head. So it was weird.
The evil CIA.
Yeah, exactly. And Kelsey Grammer from Frasier, and who played Beast in one of the X-Men movies, was the CIA bad guy, by the way. That was interesting.
Good. So I could get to hate him.
Yeah. And but I mean, it was interesting. It was kind of cool. There was a lot of action. I've said like 5 times now. That was the main meat of the movie, was firing back and forth. Another nitpick I had, though, was Optimus was very eager to kill humans in this one. He was like, "I'll kill you." He said that like over and over again, and he actually did a couple times. But because they had been wronged so much by the humans, but I didn't like that because it seemed so out of character for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just didn't feel right.
Well, hopefully they'll do better with number 5. I mean, 1 was good, 2 sucked, 3 was good. So now we got 4 that's So then we got 5 that's good again.
I think for me 4 was good. It just had some things I didn't like in it. It was a different cast. You had Mark Wahlberg, who was definitely better than Shia LaBeouf. Different vibe completely. But this is an action star. You know what Mark Wahlberg does, and he was good. He was Mark Wahlberg, and you had some other good human characters in there. Stanley Tucci was one of the bad guys as well, and he's a tremendous actor. So it was nice to see him in there. But you could see some of the Michael Bay-isms in this movie, not just with the Transformers itself, but just with the framing of the scenes and certain things that happened. There was still some of that Michael Bay stuff. Not just the explosions, but in the previous Transformers movies, there's always these close-ups in the cars where they do like these little funny bits.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm talking about. Those were still present, which I didn't like. I don't like those. Yeah. They're corny. Yeah. It's just, I don't know. There's nitpicks, but I enjoyed the movie. Lisa Moore, who went with me, she wasn't as crazy about it. But she may be watching in the other room, so hi, Lisa. But
Lisa, if you want to just run into Brant's, Lisa, if you want to run into Brant's room, you can give your opinion of the movie. I'd love to hear a compare and contrast between the two of you.
There you go. It was a very long movie. I'll say that we were both nodding off as we were watching it. It was almost at times it was almost 3 hours long, dude, for a Transformers movie. It didn't need to be that long. So yeah, I think even her brother went with us too, and I think he was nodding off a little bit as well. But
and that's why I don't go to the movies.
Yeah, it could have easily cut a 30, 45 minutes of the movie off. So
I'm still scared for the Turtles. I don't care what anybody says. Doesn't look like it's gonna be fun, but maybe it will be.
Before the movie, they showed the trailers as they always do. One of the trailers they showed was the extended Turtles trailer. And it's the first. I hadn't seen the latest trailer for it yet, so I hadn't seen the full Shredder and Splinter and all that stuff.
Oh, you didn't, huh?
No, after I saw, I'll admit, after I saw that trailer, I'm less enthused about it.
You saw Shredder, right, Mister?
I saw Shredder. Yeah, I saw that, and I heard Johnny Knoxville as Leonardo, and I heard different things, and yeah, I'm far less optimistic than I was previously. So we'll see what happens. I'll still go see it, but we'll see.
If I get the DVD set for the Turtles from Nickelodeon, I think the first DVD set comes with a free movie ticket. I'll let Mike go see it. Good.
Like I said, I'll go see it because it's the Turtles. I can't not see it. You know, that's like me not seeing G.I. Joe or Transformers. It's just, it's gonna happen. I'm gonna see it. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, with my movie theater around here anyway, it's not exactly a clean environment right now. So I'll either wait for it to come out on DVD, or I'll find other means, cough cough, of watching the movie. So
yeah, no, I understand. Yeah.
I'm definitely not going to waste extra money to go see it in IMAX in the city, that's for sure.
Oh, no, I definitely wouldn't recommend that. Something like Guardians of the Galaxy, yeah, go do that. Go see that, Chris, please. But
I'll try, or I'll definitely get those other means for Guardians of the Galaxy on August 1st. I will find other means.
Yeah, don't do that for Turtles, though. Don't go to IMAX for Turtles. No. Shoot. But yeah, no, I think if you didn't like the previous films, you're probably not going to like this one either. But if you did, I think you will. But that's me.
Well, I am a person who just bought all three films for $5 each. So I remember watching the first one, most of it. I didn't have to watch the second and third. Maybe I'll skip the second since everybody says bad things about it.
It's not terrible. It's just there's certain parts in it, especially those two cars. Those two stereotypical cars that are awful.
Yeah.
But, no, they're the Jar Jar Binks of the Transformers franchise, dude. Seriously,
you just gave the evil word right there. You said Jar Jar Binks.
That's what I'm telling you. They are the Jar Jar Binks of the Transformers. It's not pretty. It's really not. Aside from that, though, it wasn't terrible.
I'm still scared. But anyway, guys, before we get too far along, I'd just like to let you guys know, for those of you that haven't watched any of the other recaps or any of my other videos in the past month, all the recaps starting this month, which is the month of July, are going to be officially put on hold due to the Street Fighter Summer event. Brant now has an Xbox, PlayStation, and Wii. So maybe...
In the vicinity, yes.
In the vicinity. So maybe if Brant has a Street Fighter game on one or more of those systems on Brooklyn Boys, we might actually have a match via the internet.
We shall have to look into that.
Yeah, definitely, yes. Because we definitely have to rumble in on those games. But
I'll tell you what I do have access to. I do have Marvel vs. Capcom 3, so that kind of counts.
That does, because we are using that for the Street Fighter Summer.
Well, there you go.
There we go. So you'll see Brant on Brooklyn Boys soon, now that he has video games. And hopefully I can get him to get some Call of Duty and some other games that I have multiplayer on, like The Last of Us and Metro. And we'll maybe have some co-op stuff going on. Maybe if he gets an Xbox One and a PS4, we'll have some co-op for those newer games that come out. And you guys will have some fun on Brooklyn Boys with me and Brant on the games. Speaking of which, let me finish. The recaps are on hold for Street Fighter Summer. Not sure if they're going to be coming back, or if they do come back, it's going to be in a different fashion instead of them being recaps as in reviews, because I do like having all the indie books back on the indie reviews. Maybe instead there'll be more of a, okay, I've reviewed them, now this is more of a discussion of them in whole. In other words, there are probably only going to be 2 recaps coming back, which will be Transformers, because it's the live show with me and Brant, and the Zenoscope recap, because me and Mike read everything from Zenoscope. No joke. Everything. Now that Brant is situated, also, I know a lot of you guys have been asking me about the live streams in the morning. I am going to say one thing about the live streams. I tried getting up at 9 in the morning on a Saturday after doing a full week's worth of work. I need the weekend to sleep late. So, what we will be doing is a live show. I just don't know what time, but it's definitely not going to be in the morning. So maybe we'll do it the night before, in the early AMs. Maybe we'll do it, you know, if we're both awake and the sun is coming up on my end because Brant is now in a different time zone. Maybe we'll do it like that. But I am not waking up at 9 in the morning to do a morning stream anymore. I don't get paid, so I'm not doing it. So we will have the live shows back, though. Vanish has been updated. So I'm sure Brant and I are definitely going to want to jump back in on that game and finally win it. And then we'll go back to some of the other great games. And now that Brant has, next weekend, there you go. And Hall of Toys is coming back. We're actually going to be recording it today because it's 12 midnight. Oh, well, for me it's today. For Brant it's tomorrow still. I'm in the future. But Hall of Toys is coming back, and hopefully it'll be coming to a monthly cast again, and then hopefully maybe bi-weekly again later on down the road. If we can get it back to monthly and keep going with it and running with it monthly, I'm confident that if there's enough stuff coming out, which, believe me, no joke here, I have a lot of stuff I can discuss and probably will be discussing in the future. So with all the stuff here, and Brant now has video game systems, we have a ton of video games we can talk about, and there's always new board games on, why did I just lose it? Kickstarter. There's going to be a lot of stuff we can discuss now. I think Hall of Toys, now that Brant has all this stuff and I have all this stuff, like we both got like additions to our repertoire of things to discuss. I think Hall of Toys is going to come back, and it's going to come back even stronger than it was before. And this time it'll last. It's a Podcast has been gone for 2 weeks. Guys, it'll be back. This is the last recap. So officially got more time now. So there's a lot of stuff that's going to be coming back on my channel, and like I said, the recaps will be changed, and they're not going to come back until well into October. Maybe I'll even wait till January and let the year finish off and then start again in January. We'll see. We'll see about time. But as far as the extra stuff that is doable, those will be coming back soon. It's a Podcast. We'll be back this week. I don't want to say Thursday. I want to give it a free date. It could be any day. But most of the time it's on Thursdays. The live shows, as Brant said, will be back on the weekend. And Brant, do you have anything you'd like to talk about Zone 4 or anything related? Since it's a podcast and my channel are both connected to Zone 4. I mean, we've got San Diego coming up soon.
Yeah, on next week's Zone 4, we'll probably be talking about some of the San Diego news, whatever has come out by the time we record. We'll also be talking about, we're actually going to review Ron, who's one of our co-hosts, his latest comic book, the first color book from his own publishing house. So we're going to be talking about that. Comic Related and Comic Frontline, both going to be doing tons of San Diego Comic-Con coverage like we always do every year. So expect updates every 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever, throughout the duration of the weekend and even continuing on into the next as more news is released to us. So it's going to be a very busy week for all of us.
That's why, and that's that's why I got all these out of the way, because I want to make sure all my reviews, everything's done. So once Wednesday hits, I'm in Comic-Con mode. News comes, ship it out to you or Jay, and you guys will post it, and we'll have like full coverage for at least till Sunday. I think it ends on Sunday night.
Yeah, in Sunday night, but I'm sure like some of the stuff we'll miss throughout the weekend, so we'll probably still be posting stuff well into the next week.
Don't underestimate me this year, Brant.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying, it's we could miss some stuff, or they could have like more details of stuff come out after the con. That happens sometimes, so you never know.
Yeah, I remember last year we finished doing San Diego on Comic Related, because we didn't have Comic Frontline last year, and well into the following Wednesday there was still like little things still trickling, because they didn't release everything at the convention. They released teasers, and then the following week is when they started like fully disclosing a lot of the news. So this break everything at once.
Yeah. So there will be a lot to talk about, I'm sure, on the live show on the 29th on Comic Frontline as well.
And hopefully next Sunday, when the convention's over, I'll be doing a recap on Comic Frontline, so hopefully Brant will be with me for that, and it'll be covering all the major news that's come out of San Diego. I don't know if the other guys and gals on Comic Frontline will be with me, and hopefully Brant will be with me, but I will be doing, I'm going to try to do a live show, but if it's not a live show, I'll probably do a video, but if I do a live show, hopefully some of the guys and gals will come on, and we'll discuss what we saw or what came out of San Diego, and then it's going to go into that week's live show, which is going to be a Q&A, but we'll be talking about San Diego there also.
Cool. And I will give one more final teaser for Hall of Toys. I did see a press release come in. Toys R Us has released all their exclusives for San Diego Comic-Con. So
I know.
We'll mention those. Yeah.
And unfortunately, I'm not in San Diego, so I can't get them. So my means are going to be eBay.
There you go. But we can still talk about them.
Oh, hell yeah, we will. And also we can talk about the Sharknado Funko thing that just came out and is like literally the super... Well, we'll talk about that on the show. But I'm getting one. I'll say that much. So guys and gals, thank you guys so much for all your support on not only the live shows, not only the recaps of my comic reviews, but everything I've been doing on my channel, and all your guys' support on Comic Frontline as well. And Zone 4, it's a podcast, Hall of Toys, everything. We all appreciate, and I especially appreciate, all your guys' support, comments, and whatnot. Feel free, if you'd like, to leave comments below, and I will answer your guys' comments next Friday on the weekly comic book haul. If there are any comments for Brant, I'm sure Brant will answer them in the comments below, as opposed to on the weekly haul, because he's not sitting next to me on the weekly haul. But hopefully things will start up more on here. I'll be doing more reviews on Comic Frontline now that I won't be doing the recaps at the end of the month. I'll actually be on time with all my books, so I'll be able to grab some and do some weekly reviews again, so you can look forward to that. Not this week, though, because this week we're going to be hell-bent on San Diego. I'll try to get 1 or 2 book reviews out there for Frontline early on in the week, but once San Diego hits, it's going to be all San Diego all the way through until next Monday. So... Thank you guys so much. Don't forget to check out, by the way, all the websites we mentioned, like comicrelated.com, comicfrontline.com, and zone4podcast.com. We are your #1 source for comic-related news, reviews, and a whole bunch more. Like I said, comicrelated.com, comicfrontline.com. We are going to be covering news every, as Brant said, 15 minutes. Every hour, on the hour, you're going to be seeing new news. We are going to be updating like crazy once the news starts hitting from San Diego, and we aren't going to be stopping until the news is gone and there's no news left to go. So every hour on the hour you're going to be seeing new content on Comic Related and Comic Frontline. And who knows, maybe we still have to discuss what's going to be posted where, but there'll be stuff maybe we'll be doing on Frontline that'll end up on Comic Related, so this way they can focus and we can focus on Comic Related on different stuff, and vice versa. You never know. Still to be determined, but it's going to be fun, and it's going to be a really big, I think it's going to be a really big con this year with all the news that they're pumping us up for.
Yep. Agreed.
Alright, so Brant, you have any closing words?
No, I think you covered everything. So
New comic
thanks,
day.
guys. New comic day last week.
Right?
Yeah. New Comic Day last week celebrated its 5-year anniversary. We saw Bill Gladman, who was in the original 2 or 3 years. He came back into the strip for a special strip. We're entering now, starting this week, this coming Wednesday, the Guardians of the Galaxy arc that we're doing. So tune in for that on newcomicday.net.
That's going to be awesome. All right, guys, take care. Keep reading, keep collecting. I'll see you guys, and we'll see you guys really soon in the next video. Take care, everybody, and have a great night.
Bye, guys.